What's up, everybody? Brandon with Fold Up Games back here with another True Confessions heart-to-heart video. I feel like I am the games therapist out here some days. I'm okay with it. Let's get into this one today because I might as well take a dagger and just drive it into my own heart. Can you be a game dev when you're an older person? Older is really a relative term, and the number of times I've seen videos of people going, hey, I'm over 30 and I'm into game dev and I just want to strangle their little necks. I got into this in my 20s and maybe 30s, and now I'm in my 40s, closer to 50. God help me. Okay, whoo, let that one just wash over you, and we're going to carry on. If you ask this question out there on the internet, you know, can I get into game dev and older, and you're going to get all these rah-rah videos going, yay, you can do it. I believe in you. You can do anything. Older people are so powerful. I'm not going to BS you today. The truth of it is it's hard, okay? It gets tougher. The older you get, the harder it gets because your energy level has taken a real kick in the head, and you know it, okay? Let's not lie to each other here. You know it has. I find myself just flipping tired a lot of the times. I'm working a full-time job. I have family obligations, and you know how it goes. You're going to have even more family obligations, extended family, and being around here with a homeowner of an older home, I'm Mr. Fix-It. Something's always broken. I tell the family, if I didn't install it or repair it, it's broken. So when they're complaining about something, I'm like, of course it's broken. Dad didn't fix it, so it's broken. There's just a lot. There's just a lot. It is tough. The only thing I can tell you that would probably help is to make video games your hobby. If you want to do it, if you feel drawn to do it, if it's something you just wanted to try and see if you enjoyed it, then make it your hobby. Don't have another hobby that you're doing. Make this your hobby. And if you're not enjoying it, it's not a hobby, it's not fun, you're not going to stick with it, you're not going to be able to just will yourself through it. You need to enjoy doing what you're doing, or else you're not going to keep doing it. Because frankly, and I had a whole video on this one, nobody cares, okay? Let's not sugarcoat stuff. There's nobody out there dying to see your video game. There's nobody, you don't know what's going on with other people out in the world. Are you just dying to see their games or their new project or the new painting that your neighbor has finished in her garage? You don't even know she's a painter, right? They don't know you're a game dev. They don't care. Nobody cares until you make them care. And if you can't be satisfied making games and learning it for your own amusement, you're not going to be able to carry on with it. So this has got to be a fun hobby for you. Will it turn into something more? Can you actually put games out there and let people enjoy them? Yeah, you can. Is it enough if you get just a few people to play it and you find the satisfaction in people playing it? Good. Do you think there's a possibility to take it further and actually make some money from it? Okay, now you're getting into the idea of running a business and understanding that you need to get a whole marketing game in place. But for me, I'm happy to be a hobbyist and get people to play and enjoy my games and to get that out there in front of them. The truth is that it does get to be harder. It's not easy to sit down and just learn a new game application, you know, to make games. So to help you out, I'll give you my quick rundown on a few of the players out there you've probably heard of. Game Maker is the one I love to hate. I always wind up going back to work on Game Maker. And the reason for it is that I know how to use it. That's the truth of it. I know how to use it and I can get results out of it quickly. Being able to actually move the ball forward and get results instead of learning new software is a big win. So it's hard to stop and learn something new when you know good and well I could be making a different version of this, a 2D version, a pixel-based version of this. I could make a good game, one that I enjoy, one that I can be proud of. I can go do it right now. And that's me when it comes to Game Maker. I can just go do it. It does have a drag and drop graphical interface to get into, so you don't have to learn to code. And if you get better at that, the coding is pretty easy. GML is kind of a pigeon stripped down, easy version of, I want to say C#, might be. But it's their own helper language, and it's pretty simplified. Next up, Unity has the opportunity to do 3D stuff, and it also, unlike Game Maker, you can export to anything you want to for free. Game Maker kind of, it has a barrier of having to pay to export to different platforms. So if you complete something, you're going to have to pay to let anybody see it. Unity doesn't have that. Unity doesn't have out of the box a graphical way to get yourself started. There are graphical add-ins. Unity requires you to have two different pieces of software, so it's going to be Unity as the main program environment, and then you're going to get Microsoft Visual Studio, and you're going to be writing code there in C#, which for me it's been a challenge to learn it. If I was starting out from zero, I'd say that one's not too bad, and it's fairly easy to get into, and I could recommend that. And also the fact that it has full 3D support and everything. And if you know 3D art like Blender, really big benefit. Next one, I'll throw Godot in there. Godot's still new. It's kind of a open community-based one. It's more 2D. It has 3D, but the truth is everything I've seen from Godot has been pretty amateur hour at this point. I'm sorry. Sorry, Godot. You guys try so hard, and I really wish you well. It is open, though. You could just get it, install it, run it, export it, and it's very community kind of a thing. So really easy to get into, and you find a lot of cheerful people who are wanting to do good things. What I'm seeing of the results of it do look pretty amateur hour right now. I'm terribly sorry. I'm so sorry. I do hope that changes in the future, and I do have good hopes for the future of that. So continue working on that, and I think we're going to see some good changes. It's worth keeping your eye on. The other one is Unreal Engine. From what I've seen with Unreal Engine, it is the one to beat. It is like that AAA top quality kind of a thing. People who get into it, who don't want to get really deep into coding, tend to use their Blueprints system, which is kind of a graphical line connecting a bunch of ideas together in this very complicated and ever-expanding network of nodes that can be a complicated thing to learn of its own. But otherwise, you're into coding, and their coding is pretty deep and pretty complicated. Unreal is really, really challenging, and it can be really demanding to get into. People kind of run screaming for the door. But Unreal is going to be your most powerful engine that you can get off the shelf right now. There are some other applications out there. People use Construct and others, but the ones that I have used are going to be Game Maker and Unity, and I enjoy both of those. I would suggest looking at Unity, but be aware that I know the company itself has had some back and forth, and people have argued and have wondered if it has longevity. But up to this point, it has been the go-to software for your indie-minded person. I feel like Unity is probably losing ground to Unreal right now in the whole world out there. The important thing is you don't have to commit to any of them right now, and they really will help you a lot just to get in there and get started. And to understand if this is something you're even interested in as a hobby, you ought to be aware that game dev is, even when you're good at it and you get into it, it becomes really, 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 really tedious, and it tends to be kind of isolated work. So if you're the sort of person who doesn't mind sitting by yourself doing a puzzle, or you like to work your brain on a crossword or something, or maybe you want to get into game dev just to work your brain, it's a good one. Game Maker tends to be a lot more self-contained, which is a benefit of it. You don't have to get a third-party code compiler like Microsoft Visual Studio that you use when you're working in Unity. Game Maker also has a built-in sprite creator, little pixel art. People tend to use another program called AES-Sprite, A-E-S-Sprite, AES-Sprite. Anyway, you can download that one, and it has more capacities. I've also made 3D-based art in Blender and exported it as a 2D PNG image. So I create art in 3D, but I export it into a 2D system into Game Maker. So I'm using outside programs to create art. So that's another workflow. But you can do a lot just within Game Maker without ever leaving it. But anyway, that's my rundown. That's how to get your feet wet. That's how to get started if you're interested in getting started. But not going to lie to you, it is a challenge. And I think there was that first year challenge. So getting over the hump and kind of getting into being able to create something and get some results quickly, and to kind of be able to manage expectations is really important. But I would say make that your hobby and see if it's fun for you. And if you're having fun, then yes, you can succeed. It's going to be challenging, though, if you find it to be, I had this grand dream of rebuilding my own Super Mario Brothers or whatever else you're trying to do. And it turns out to be a lot harder just to make asteroids. That might be what you're faced with. So you need to manage expectations and be realistic about what you hope to achieve. Okay. Can you do it? I don't know. That's my answer. I'm not going to give you a rah-rah. I don't know you. I don't know what you're like mentally, whether you're the sort of person who will sit down and focus and commit yourself and you're bullheaded enough to power through, or if you have that kind of a logical, orderly mind, which is very important to being a coder. And you need to be able to stick it out for the long run to be able to complete stuff and fiddle with all the little minutiae and bugs to get it worked out to actually complete a game and finish it, start to finish. So I hope that really helps you. I do mean to be encouraging and realistic with you, which I think is probably the most important thing to wanting to be a developer, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s or whatever. Can you do it? Of course, you could also climb Everest, but let's be honest, you're not going to climb Everest, are you? Right? I'm not going to become an astronaut. It hurts to say it, but I'm not. I have been working to learn new software, switching gears over to Unity, and I find that to be almost a little too challenging when I know I can go back to GameMaker and get results. So being able to get quick results is a real big payoff, and I think that if you can find something that gives you quick results, that might be a real encouragement to you. So I would look to that and try to find out which ones you can get into. Those are the engines that I would suggest taking a look at, and I hope you let me know in the comments how it goes. Thank you very much. Bye.